Hey guys, this is Gene at DNS Bait, and this report's current as of Saturday the 16th here. Some good reports off Lake Mendota today. Actually, quite a few guys did pretty decent on perch. Obviously not everybody did, but I had, 7 or 8 good reports around the lake, and the neat thing was they were coming from several different areas on the lake. Talked to guys that were here in Warner Bay, out towards Governor's Island, from the weed line out to about 18 feet of water that did okay with some nice perch, some white bass, some smallmouth bass, and an occasional bluegill. I even talked to one guy who had a limit there. Talked to a guy who had a limit on the west side of Governor's Island, out in about 14 feet of water, just out on the flat, just anchored up and sat. He said it was not fast and furious, but he had some nice perch in the course of 2 or 3 hours of fishing. I talked to some guys that were over by the hatch cover that had 42 perch between a couple of them. They were right on the weed line. He said there was a couple of guys out a little deeper than him that were getting some fish too. Talked to some guys that were down by Spring Harbor. They got a few on the weed line, and they got some fish out in about 22 feet of water, which was pretty nice to see. I talked to some guys that were over on the city shoreline down by Burley Street that had some perch today, so that was real nice to see too. Otherwise, the smallmouth have been fairly cooperative, anywhere from weed lines out to 20 and 25 feet of water. Rocks seem to be the key, obviously, and leeches are the bait of choice at the moment. White bass have been fairly cooperative too on Lake Mendota, if anybody's interested in that. Trolling off Governor's Island, Maple Bluff, even in Warner Bay. Otherwise, Lake Monona, the guys fishing from shore off the convention center had a good morning this morning. Caught some bluegills and some crappies. And there's been some guys back in Monona Bay taking a few bluegills back in there at times. Otherwise, out on the lake itself, the major spawn seems to be over. A lot of those bluegills have moved out to the weed lines. Sluter Beach, Wild Haven, Hudson Park, down by Squaw Bay off the rock pile, off Turville Point. All those areas, there's bluegills out on the outside edge of the weeds and starting to move a little bit deeper. I heard the muskie action still seems to be pretty decent on Lake Monona and Waubesa. Quite a few fish showing up anyway. I haven't heard any specifics, but I did hear that from a couple of the guys that have been fishing say they've been having some pretty good success. I did hear some walleyes on Lake Waubesa and Kegonsa lately. Some of the guys said the weed lines have been producing some smaller fish. Some of the main lake basin, they're trolling some crankbaits and crawler harnesses. They've been getting some nicer fish out in 20, 25, even 30 feet of water. Down on Lake Kegonsa, I did hear some nice bluegills, about 6-7 feet of water, and some walleyes. No more specifics than that. I don't know which part of the lake they're fishing. The bluegills are huge, and the walleye action's been pretty decent. I think that's about it here locally. I guess the most interesting part for me is the perch action up here on Lake Mendota, and a little bit of perch action on Monona and those bluegills out on the weed lines. So we'll talk to you guys later. If you got any questions, you can call at the store here, 608-241-4225. If you're on the road and need a fishing report, you can use our fishing report hotline, the phone line, 608-244-3474. That spells big fish. That's all I got for right now, guys, so we'll talk to you later. Thanks. Bye.